Here's my drawing of Zoey from the K-pop Demon Hunters, and today I'm going to guide you through each of the steps so that you can draw this yourself. So grab a pencil and paper and let's get started. Welcome back everyone, and thanks for joining me today. For this lesson, I'm going to be sketching with this 0.7mm mechanical pencil with a 2B graphite stick. Now if you don't have a mechanical pencil, anything you have around the house will work just fine. Now the first thing we're going to do is block out the basic shape and composition of our drawing before we get into the details. So let's start in the center of the page and draw a straight line coming down. Starting from the very top, we can use these short lines, just pulling the pencil down towards us, all the way down towards the bottom. Now let's move back up to the top, draw another line going across from left to right. Now I want to use these two lines to help us create a large circle in the center of our page to define the size of the head. So from that center point, let's move up to right about here. Just going to mark that off. Let's measure that distance from the center down towards the bottom. And do the same thing. And then we'll repeat that across this horizontal line. So measuring the distance from the center over towards the left and then over towards the right. Now I want to connect the center point of each mark with a curve to create our circle. So let's start with the top left and just work our way around. And this circle doesn't have to be perfect. We're just using this as a guide. And it'll eventually come back and erase most of the circle out. So now that we got our circle, let's add another guideline coming down the side on the left and right. And to finish our setup, we're going to draw another line going across the bottom of our circle. Now with our circle and guidelines in place, let's start blocking out the facial features. I want to locate the inside corner of the eyes. So from that center line, move over toward the left, right about here. Draw a straight line coming down. Let's measure the distance from the center over towards the right and do the same thing. Now let's separate the bottom half of our circle right in the middle. Draw a straight line going all the way across from left to right. Let's add the basic shape of the eyes. Starting from this point, we're going to angle this up and then out on the left and right towards the same height. Angle this up and then out towards the side of our circle. And we're going to come back and just smooth this out later. On the ends, step in, let's curve this down and then in towards that bottom line. Now I want to locate the iris and pupil. So we're just going to tuck this up along the top, along the inside, drawing a circle going around, and then just pull that up. And we can always come back and relocate this if we need to. Want to make sure that they're not too close together or too far apart. Now from this point, we're going to step in, draw a straight angled line across the eyebrow toward the side. Now I want to raise the right eyebrow, so we're going to step up, and up a little bit higher, going out towards the side. Now we're going to go back to the center and draw a small upside down triangle for the nose. Coming down and in. From the tip, step down, draw the mouth with a straight line. Now we want to give our character some expression by adding some shape to that center line. So from the center, we're going to move this up and then out toward the left. Goes across and up towards the right. This is a little bit shorter, and just bend that down on the end. Now from the mouth, we're going to step down towards the chin. Just mark this off. And we're going to add some shape to the outside of the head. Let's start on the left. We're going to come straight down. Now right here, it's going to bend this in across the jaw. This angle is down and in towards the chin. Let's draw the side of the neck with two lines, one on the left, one on the right. And then from the top, just slope the shoulders, coming down and then out. Now I'm going to go back and add a half circle on the side for the ears. Let's start from the left side, goes around and then in. And this is just the general shape and size of the ears. Now we're going to draw the hair bangs across the top. So we're going to go halfway along the top of our circle and the middle, right here. I'm going to mark that off. Curves across and then up toward the left and right side. Let's add those curls going around the side of the head. We're going to start up here, going out, come in around the ears, go out, and then curl that back in. Now I'm just going to taper this so it gets wider as you come back out. Let's add one on the right side. Starting from the top, going around, in. I'm just going to curl this around and back in towards the cheek. You just want to taper that around the eye and then back up towards the top. Now I want to go back and add some volume to the top of the head. Let's start right here, step up, Throw this up and out on left and right. Round out the head. Come down along the side. And just tuck that in behind the ears. Now over on the right side, we're going to add the edge of the bun. So we're going to start from the top, curl this around, come down, just pull that in towards the ear. Now with our rough sketch in place, I want to go back and erase some of these guidelines on the inside. And this will help us get a better look at our proportions. Now once we finish cleaning up our drawing, I'm going to go back to the eyes and add some shape and volume. So let's start from this point. Just going to round out the eye, going up, just taking out that sharp point on the inside. Pull this down towards the side. Now I'm going to give our character some thick lashes. So from the bottom, going up toward the top, toward the point. Curve this down, and just taper that in. And go back and lightly shade in the inside of the lashes. Round up the bottom corner of the eye and pull that in. And go back and just darken up the outside edge of the iris. And then on the top left side, draw a small circle for highlight. Add a smaller circle in the center going in behind the highlight for the pupils. Just going to lightly darken up the center of the pupils. Now we're going to move up and add some shape to the eyebrows. Let's start on the left. We're going to give this a slight curve going across. I'm just going to bend that down around the eye. Flatten off the inside. And go back and just add some thickness to the eyebrows. And lightly shade that in. And then do the same thing on the right. Again, going higher on the right side to enhance the expression. Now on the inside, we're going to add a little curve for the brow. Now from here, we're going to move down and start working around the nose, starting from the center with a curve. Going around the nostrils. Just going to darken up the inside and then just flare out the side of the nostrils, going up. Now we're going to add some thickness to the lips, starting in the center with a little V. Just work our way across. Now add some thickness to the lower lip. Coming down, and I'm just going to round that out. Now we can readjust the length of the chin if we need to, since we just added that lower lip. Just going to bring that down a little bit lower. Let's go back up to the top and add some texture across the edge of the hairline. So just these little points going up. You want to separate the hair, just roughly going across. Just adding these little gaps. I'm just going to add some shape to the ears, just tucked in behind the hair. Just have a fold on the outside. Now with that bun, I'm just going to separate this into little sections with curves just overlapping in behind. Now I want to go back to the ears and add those links for the earrings, almost like a rectangle coming down at an angle. And add a small one coming down the middle. We're just going to go in behind the hair. I'll probably come back and erase most of this out anyways. And we'll add some shape to the neck. The slope of the shoulders, just blending that in towards the side of the neck and coming down. for the straps on the side. I'm just going to simplify this. And the little latch is going across. And now we're going to do one final cleanup before we get into our detail pass and shading. And now we're going to go back and start adding some thickness to our lines and more contrast. And I'm going to apply a thick and thin line technique. So adding the thicker lines across the shadow areas, and then just tapering down, sort of where the highlights would hit. That would be across the bottom of the eye. Just going to fade that across, and then darken up the lashes. Underneath the eyes, we're going to add that small dot, little circles, and a couple lashes coming down and out. I also want to add a lighter tone around the iris. We're going to start off darker along the top and then just fade that down to create a highlight or reflection using the side edge of our pencil. Just continue across the mouth. We start with the center and then the upper lip. Let's go ahead and just darken that upper lip, just using a medium tone. And we'll darken up the lower lip starting from the sides. We'll go a little bit lighter than the top, and then fade that in toward the center to create a bit of a highlight. Also darkening up the bottom to give it some shape. Now that I have the details of the face, I'm going to switch to my thicker pencil. This is my 0.9mm. And start tracing out the contours of the hair. You can also add a little bit more texture across the base of the hair and just work our way across. Just pulling up a few more lines. Now right here at the earlobes, we're just going to overlap the earring on top. So you want to add some thickness. And I'm just going to roughly finish off the shoulder area with those straps. Now I'm going to move to the side edge of my 2mm pencil and start adding a little bit of shading and texture to the hair. So I'm going to start with the bottom edge and just lightly pull this up, going up toward the top. And then the top of each shape, I'm just going to pull this down. So we create this nice little highlight in the center of each shape. And just roughly working our way across towards the right. And then from the top, just working our way down. And we're just working with the flow of the hair. So from that center point, just bend this out towards the side. Now with the shadows inside the face, we want to define the edges. So we're going to connect the eyebrow to the corner of the eye. And then from here, it's going to add a light shadow line coming down along the side edge of the nose. And I'm just going to lightly shade the inside. Let's do the same thing on the right. Coming down and up, round out the edge, and then shade the inside. Let's cast a shadow from this curl coming down around the side of the head. I'm going to add some shadows across the nose. And then the head's going to cast a shadow across the neck, but we're going to pull this over towards the right. So we're going to locate the light from the top left side going across our character. So the shadows sit on the opposite side. Just darken up the straps. Now as we get near the end, we're just going to darken up our contours and always be sure to sign our artwork. And that's pretty much it. There's a sketch illustration of Zoey from the K-pop Demon Hunters. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. If you did, please be sure to subscribe for more videos each week where I'll show you how to draw different characters just like this. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.